Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Play the Tape. I am your host, Derek J. Fields, and it is a blessing and a pleasure and an honor to be here today. Full disclaimer that we are not trained, licensed clinical therapists or licensed social workers, even though we will and have had them on the show. And we will continue to have them on the show to bring a different perspective, a different outlook on how the counselors, how the social workers, and how the therapists perceive people who live with mental illness and concerns and addiction and substance use disorder. But today, my guest is my brother. He is back. Yes, my brother Joseph for part two, because we had to do a part two. We have a couple part twos this season. And I like that because sometimes it's not easy to get everything in and say everything that you want to say in an hour. So sometimes the guests have to come back and share their experience, strength, and hope. And this is what this platform is about. It's about educating. It's about advocacy. It's about networking. It's about community. It's about connection. It's about people coming to play the tape, to do just that, to play their tape in the good, the bad, and the ugly, to share those experience, strength, and hope, so that those who are still in that pit can understand that people are working a program of recovery. They're putting God first, and they are living, not just surviving. So with that being said, my guest is my brother, a mentor, someone I look up to. He's a man of God, someone that I have a tremendous respect for. And getting to know him. And without further ado, Joseph, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Derek. How you doing today?
I'm well and I'm blessed. Thank you.
That's good. You know, just the other day, not the other day, just last night we had this discussion, right? And I'm gonna get there real fast.
Mm-hmm.
The question was, when someone asks you how you're doing, do they really mean it, or just a word that they just throw around, right? And I said, well, in reality, it's just like that word love. You get a female, you say, oh, I love you and all that. But they don't really understand. You can't love someone if you don't understand how to be loved. That's true, right?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
If I ain't living right, how do I know how to help you? If you give me a problem that you're going through, I can't give you a solution to it.
Right.
So I even ask you how you're doing if I'm not willing to help you to get where you need to go or get to where you want to be at in life. Mm-hmm. So it should be. What people should be saying is how, hi, hello, good evening, whatever the case may be. But when you utter that word, how are you doing? You're asking a question that some people just not able to sit or have the time to hear the answer.
Right.
And with further ado from that, right, I had to write some stuff down because some things are more important than other things. It's not a prescriptive thing. It's just to help me get to where I need to go in this message, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. I don't care what car I use, as long as I get there, right? I get that from TD Jakes. So if you ever listen to him, you'll see what he mean by it. Don't matter what vehicle I put it in, as long as I get the message, right? And the message for one of those is, I noticed that throughout my life, I used to do things that other people wanted me to do, because it defined me who I was. That's what I thought was a man was supposed to be. But I've realized that opinions does not mean who I'm supposed to be, because I'm looking at their narrow vision of what I could be on a grander scale. And what I mean by that, that everyone has their own opinions about me, but God made me not your narrow vision of me. People say they don't want to relive or talk about the things in the past. Are just really saying that they don't want to talk about them because they can't let it go. And I often always start off with my past because I had to let it go a whole lot of things. And I'm just going to go real fast. born
Right.
in 1967 in Chicago, Illinois. My mom and dad was, messing around with each other. They was kids. But at the time of the being in the struggle, I didn't realize the age they were. I looked at them as they was 50 and 60 years old. Like they had it going on. Like they was there. They arrived somewhere. They
Right.
arrived nothing. 2 children having babies, and now life shows up. What do? Only what they was taught to do. Hold on the best that they can.
Mm-hmm.
Try to control one another. So in that, they taught me the same thing as I thought as a child, no longer as a man, or as a man when I got to that age, because I was never taught by a man. I was only taught by a child in a man's body. So as I went in life, I had to take on other facets of life or other people to help me mold me who I am today. Right?
Man, yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I can definitely relate to that. The example or the model of being taught how to be a man, especially a man, if you even want to take it a little deeper, that I'm learning in my stewardship and my discipleship now in towards my children is how to steward in a biblical way, in a Christ-led way, which is something that I wish I had and I wish it would have came to me sooner, but I know everything in God's time because he's sovereign. So I'm with you 100%.
So in this journey, I had to go through all these obstacles in order to finish the race. And I'm not finished yet. I had to go over some hurdles in my lifetime, right? One after another. Each hurdle I went past, I got in line to ask God to help me through it,
Mm-hmm.
right? I got on my knees
Yes.
and asked him. I had to learn how to respect that God had a lot of people to help. And when they got to my turn, I had to wait till my turn came around again. I had to respect that. But how do you respect that if you don't understand that? I want what I want right now. That's
Right
thinking like
now.
a child. That's
Yes.
thinking like a
Yes.
child, right? So
Yes.
I had to learn, because it wasn't taught to me at all, that things go in due time according to God's will, not
Right.
my will.
Right.
I wanted our family to be rich, millionaires, and all of that other stuff, but that just wasn't in the cards we was playing. We didn't get that deck. We didn't get that hand. We had to throw in some cards to change some cards like poker. Had a poker face on, like we're not starving in the house. We got it going on. We're not less than, we're more important than. That judging, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was taught. Stay confined into the things that goes on in this household. You don't talk about your things that's going on in here to nobody. Nothing. I had to let go of that because that's what the Bible says. I had to let go of the past in order for a new to begin. But if I keep holding on to the past, a new can never be started. It don't have no room. The garbage can too full. You got to take it out. Put a new trash bag in it. You got to start over. Right?
Right.
So this is why I'm coming to, from my past to my future. It don't matter, and I'm taking this from somebody. I didn't come up with this. I'm taking this from somebody. I didn't come up with this. So full disclosure.
Right.
It don't matter how the house caught on fire. The most important thing is you get out of it. It don't matter who started it, what created it, what situation had the fire take down the whole house, why the fire department didn't get there fast enough to put it out. The most important thing in this whole thing is to get yourself out that fire and get yourself started onto a new. That's what I had to do.
How did you I like that analogy. What did you do to get yourself out of that burning building, out of that burning house? What were some things that Joe had to do, that Joseph had to do? Because I'm curious. This is why we do this too. I've never heard that analogy before, and I'm curious to see how, and I know who's listening, and thank y'all for listening, however you are listening and watching this. Thank you. How did you do that? How did you get out of that burning building or that burning house?
So in order to do that, you have to listen to something different. If you don't listen to nothing different, you can't learn nothing. That's what we go to school for, right? We stay in a household with our parents till 4 years old, and then at 5, we go to kindergarten. branches us off to a new way of living, a new education program, right? And through our life, we learn how to learn different things, incorporate that. But what I had to do is understand I had to get away from my own brothers and sisters because they kept wanting to talk about how poor we was. I couldn't get around to people who was in corporate America and talk to them because I was stuck listening and talking about what I can't change. I couldn't think about nothing else. So I had to get away from that to respect somebody else's way of life of saying, that's what I want. I don't want the riches. I want that peace of mind.
Mm.
That's the whole beauty of it. It ain't the money value. The money, property, and prestige is not the primary purpose here. The primary purpose is when you reach out and help somebody else, right? You,
Right.
in all term, helping
Right.
yourself.
Right.
Right.
Compassion. Yeah, that compassion
That's right.
component. Right. Yes.
There we go. So in order to get there, you have to let some stuff go. You got to take the trash out, remember? Put a new line in the trash can so the trash can can build back up. And when that trash can come up, you have to dump that to get another, right?
Right.
Okay. This is where the philosophy comes at. You're not about the dressed up trash can, right? We all gonna have some garbage in there, right? The point of how do you take it out? That's where we get caught at. When that trash can get full, how do you know it's getting full to get rid of it? Eyesight. I can see it because I see it in my actions, the things I do on a daily basis. Am I being what the Bible says? Am I showing that people love? Am I respecting people? Am I doing the things I'm supposed to do, or I'm trying to get my own way? Removing that selfish idea of the self-centered fear of letting go of something, allowing something else to come in. That's how I started.
You know, that sounds like humility. That's what that sounds like. You have a humility and a sense of surrender.
Yep.
You know.
There we go. We're getting there.
Okay. I just want to see if I was tracking because I felt like I was tracking.
There we go. So when you surrender, like another disclosure, I'm only using the tools that was given to me.
Absolutely.
To get to where I was at, right?
Absolutely. Right.
Someone said, when you wave the white flag and surrender, you're subjecting yourself to a new pattern of rules, right? Because I said, I give up this way of life. I want to live a different way of life, right? Mm-hmm. For my survival. Because if I surrendered on the lines of a war, like in Iraq, and became a prisoner of war, I got to do what they tell me to do to live from now on.
Right. If
I don't, I'm going to die. Right?
Yeah.
So in the surrendering part of that is letting go of the past. I have to let the past go unless it's going to kill me. I cannot grow if I keep holding on to this past. And what I mean to say is not allowing this to dictate my feelings today. If people could talk about my indiscretions and I don't go pick up and use, I had let that go. If people could talk about my past and I don't frown up and get cringe, I have let that go. If I could talk about it to people and don't feel a certain way or get that stomach turning inside of me, I have let that go. That's what God asked you to do. He didn't already fix that. He done took you from that because you're still here. So why do you want to do something different that God got planned for you? Right? That's what the thing is. Another disclosure. This is what they call blocking your blessing. You're blocking your own blessings by holding on to stuff business holding on to. Right? God have removed that away from you. But when you block your blessings, you keep repeating the same thing over and over again. And they say, this is the insane part of our disease, is that you're expecting a different result to happen. You're thinking that because you bring it up, your life is going to be different because you're talking about the same thing that happened back here with your sisters and brothers. It ain't going to happen because you're not talking about how to get past that. You're not talking about how to better yourself. You're not talking about getting life insurance and car insurance and getting a healthy self-esteem about yourself. You're not talking about any of those things. You keep wanting to remind yourself of the low self-esteem, the self-centeredness, the survival of doing it for me and only me, and projecting like you have something when you don't have nothing because
Right.
you're not at peace.
Right. Again, that humility and surrender part, that willing to be humbled in the fact that, okay, there is something that I want different and better for myself. I don't
Mhm.
like these circumstances that I'm in. I need to humble myself and go look for those type of individuals that have something better, that have a sense of purpose
Mhm.
in a biblical sense, and the surrendering the will to our Heavenly Father. That's big. That takes a lot of humility, and even letting that pride go, and admitting. One of the first things that we have to do is that confessing, that acceptance, and that admitting that there is an issue, a problem, a disease.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I. That's what I was saying. If you keep on going back over here, and I didn't say the neighbor. I didn't say
Mm,
the dad and mom. I didn't say none of that. I said my brothers and sisters. And when there's a
right.
single person, the loneliness, right? You only get what you got. If you stay stuck there, if you don't let nothing go, you ain't gonna get nothing else. That's what they say, a close hand. If you don't let some of the money go, you won't get no more, right?
Mm,
Can't be stingy with it. You have to let go in order to let God, right? That
right.
sounds like, wow, why I didn't even think about that before? Sometimes it takes somebody else to bring that point across because you get sidetracked like a
Right.
messenger that you can't hear the message, right? I ain't
Mm-hmm.
the first person to say you need stocks and bonds and stuff like that, but our inability to want to learn something because we feel we don't have to learn nothing because we think we better than someone, we stay stagnated. Don't know where we even stuck. But you're wondering why I keep going to this job. I stayed at this job for two years, quit that job and stayed at this job for 6 months because I have no peace. See, full disclosure, gratitude helps all of that. When I become grateful of my past, I know what not to do to go back to that. That's the only way. Through my actions today, I know this can't repeat itself. But if I don't be grateful for my past, that's going to be repeated in the future because I'm not grateful for the things I have now. I keep wanting to live over here. So in reality, I'm living my life as if it was still back here.
So
I'm
when
used to
did
not having nothing. Hold
but
on.
when, okay.
I'm used to not having nothing. So I'll go to the club knowing I got to get up to go to work in the morning. I'm not grateful for the job. I don't care. I need to shake my leg. I need to do this. I need to do that. That's that self-centered part. I'm refusing to let go and change and do something different. When somebody say, "Oh, I don't smoke weed," are you crazy? You don't smoke weed, really? Because that's the norm in their circle,
Mm-hmm.
right? You get that? Being lazy is another form. I don't want nobody. I don't want to get up and do nothing. I want somebody to do something for me for free. Staying stuck from back here, transferring it over here, you staying in the same mindset from back here to here. Self-centered fear because you don't want to go out there to pay a mortgage, get a house because you don't want nobody to tell you no. You justifying all this to stay stuck. You asking the question and answering the same question that you need someone else to answer for you. How? How can that happen? You didn't graduate from doctor school of being a doctor. I know I'm going really fast because it's just so
No,
much ground to cover,
no, you're
right?
fine. You're fine.
This is what I mean by that stuck over here part, right? You learn how to be a doctor in your household because of self-medicating or home techniques or home remedies. So over here in this new form, I don't need to take myself to the doctor to go see a professional. My mama told me I could just do this and I'll be good. My daddy showed me that I just need to do this and I'll be good, right? So that gives me a fear of going to see a doctor to help me in the endeavors that I need help in because I don't want to hear what the doctor going to tell me. So we become doctors and lawyers without even going to seek the professional person who's paid for that. That's what we got taught over here. See, when you understand why they didn't do it over here, you understand why you need to do it over here. They
I
didn't do it
get
over
that.
here because they had the money. They weren't able to do it. Here you have the money, right? Your children don't have to go to public school, right? Your children go to private school to get a better education. You have medical insurance, so you can go to the doctor to see if you got colon cancer. You can go to the doctor to see why you're getting migraine headaches. You don't have to listen to the home remedies no more to fix the problems that's going on. See, back here when you now for to get a little deeper, full disclosure. When your daddy or uncle molested you, you couldn't go and tell nobody because what went on in your household, you better not go tell what's going on in my house or you get knocked upside your head. So in this world over here, you hold on to that because you fear that somebody gonna look at you different. That's the worst place to look at because there is help for that. Getting rid of this fear helps unlock a lot of things. If you look at the gratitude of the life lessons it taught you, right? You can get past that. I'm not saying condoning that. That's not what I'm saying. That's the way a form of life it was. It happened. It's still happening today. People getting killed, taken away, sex trafficking, all of that still going on. Life still goes on. This is a self-medicated part of it. Over here, we got to be grateful for the past so I know not what to do, right? One of those things what not to do is not to let it happen to my child, right? But still have the same love and respect for the brothers and sisters and my uncles and all that other stuff that I had. But I got to understand I can't lose focus of my mind, that I lose focus of raising my children, being a protector for my children. If I don't know how to do this, because over here, I didn't get taught that, but over here, I can get taught that. Parenting classes. I don't know how to parent. Let me go ahead and admit that I don't. Surrendering. I'm surrendering my will to learn something different. I need some spirituality because I need somebody better or higher than me to teach me to learn to be patient, long-suffering, and kind. See, I didn't get taught these things back here. So if I didn't get taught them back here, I'm going to hold on to that over here. This is what I mean. I have to let go of the past. And I always tell people about my past so they can understand how I got to where I'm at. I had to let it go because I'd be stuck on stupid. Not calling nobody stupid. I'm saying me, right. Not you, me. So growing up in the streets of Chicago in the 60s, right? Gangs and all that other stuff, right? We learned a certain way. And at about 10 years old, I was already a man in my brain because I live a fast-paced life. I miss my childhood. So I get over here and I get into this world. Now I want to relive back over here all over again because I miss some things that I thought. Some things that was taught to me that I didn't like and I'm not even proud of. But I had to accept that and embrace that so I could be a vessel. I had to embrace that so I could be a vessel for God. Because he helped carry me through that and carry me through it. Right?
Right.
And what I mean by that, I had to surrender that I had nothing to do with my upbringing in that capacity. Because somebody felt and reared me, they did the best they could for what they had. Right? When I stopped comparing and tearing them down and started appreciating the things that I did have and stop thinking about the stuff I don't have or didn't have or don't got and all that other stuff, I started to learn how to have some gratitude that I wasn't as bad as the next person. I didn't have that, but I had this. I had both of my parents in the house. I had this, or I didn't have that. We had this, but we didn't have. Finding a solution or finding a positive in the negative parts of life, right? Now, I'm here. I go to the military, and now I'm like a dog let off the chain. Click, pew, gone. I'm thinking because I come from a city and come to the country, I know something, right? I'm supposed to be smarter than the average person here in Norfolk because I come from Chicago. That's just my persona. That's not reality, though. Once I get rid of living in a fantasy and come to reality, then my life started to change. I was stuck in fantasy land, thinking that I know something because I thought I was better than somebody, because I was judging some people, because I thought their way of life was no good. I had to learn how to respect some things. And that first came with me. I had to learn how to respect myself. I am worth more than being a trick, period. And I say that terminology just like I said. I am worth more than being just a trick, period. When I'm
I get that you have to share your past to understand it and to
Mhm,
reflect, to look back and see where the gratitude is and where you come from.
mhm.
What is the motivation? What was the motivation to get you to understand that what I wasn't taught is something that I need to go learn? I need to be open-minded and willing and honest with myself on how I perceive the world that's around me. How did you
Mhm.
get to that point? What steps did you take? What list did you make? What surrendering did you do? What was your moment of clarity for Joseph that was something needed to change? Something
My
needs to be, and it has to start with me.
mhm. My life, just looking at where I was at. Is it really where I want to be at for the rest of my life? Right? Well, one started was when my health started to decline, right? I was fortunate enough to go to the military and get out. I didn't think nothing was wrong when they basically put me out. But what I was saying, I started having to live in reality. I stopped having to call something one word when reality was another.
Mm,
And one of those words was I had a problem with sleeping with young women, right? And I'm just call it what it is. So I had to learn some things about respect and about the law, right? See, I didn't respect neither one. Didn't respect me, and I didn't respect the law. The law said the person supposed to be 18 if I'm over the age of 18 to have consensual sex. However, Joseph said if she was old enough to tell me it was okay to have sex with her, I was good with it, right? That was
mm-hmm.
my thinking. Is that right thinking? No. But I was stuck on stupid because I thought I learned something. I thought I knew something. I thought I was justified in doing something because I thought I was entitled to something. I wasn't entitled to anything. I kept justifying a wrong to make it right. And what I mean by that is that when a young lady tell me she's 18 or 19, I took that for golden. I didn't ask for proof. I didn't ask to see no driver's license. I didn't see no birth certificate. I didn't do none of those things. My eyes can see, but because she's pregnant, I'm thinking, oh, well, she already had a baby. She already having sex. She ain't a virgin. So what's the difference of age? What that got to do with anything? Get that? Then I had to understand what the age had to do with it, right? Because at 18, the government said that's when not even the government, the doctor, science says that's when they're able to be able to decipher right from wrong, right? And we have this thing called tried as an adult, right?
Mm-hmm.
For children. There's to me, and I'm only explaining what I feel. It shouldn't be like that. A child should not be tried as an adult because they already said medically he cannot think. He or she cannot think like an adult at a child's age. They might do some adult dumb decisions, but that's learning life on life terms. They have to
Right.
learn the consequences from their actions. True indeed. Don't get me wrong, but you can't say that a 16-year-old need to go to wait for prison for 50 years, but yet if a 15-year-old got raped by an 18-year-old, then an 18-year-old go to prison for 15 years. But the 15-year-old said they can. But that's how it is in America. A double standard, basically, right? And we come right past that and jump on the bandwagon because we don't know how to stand up for ourselves because we didn't learn how to stand up for ourselves because the brokenness of what we went through in our life. We didn't get learn how to stand up for ourselves. And that's why a lot of people don't vote. They don't see the need to vote. They don't understand why to vote. My voice don't mean anything. And I'm gonna get back to that in a few seconds.
Okay.
So that's what I mean by the double standard part, right? We see a way not to listen to what you're supposed to in the act of self-centeredness. I want to do what I want to do, and I'll suffer the consequences later. Because we all know at 18 and he's dating a 15-year-old, they're not supposed to be doing that in
Right.
society. But in school, he's a high school student. She is too. You telling me, no, it ain't happening. They gonna have sex. Get what I'm saying? But they could go to jail for that. They could go to jail if you had committed a crime at 15. If they picked up a gun, I'm gonna rob this person and rob them, they're gonna get tried as an adult. Let them pass all of that. I said that all to say something. When you have what you was called humility, the gratitude, these are characters, positive characteristics of an upstanding person. That's the first thing. I surrender trying to do my own thing. I surrender that white flag that I'm not doing it no more. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do with integrity because that's what I'm supposed to do. That's how I started. Didn't nobody sit down and tell me, Joseph, you got to change your life in order to live a better life. It didn't happen. I had a moment of a spiritual awakening that it touched me that I have to do the right thing for the right reason. And that's even the smallest things. And that's how it started for me. And what I mean by that, I started respecting myself. I started entitling myself to a good, comfortable bed at the end of my long day by making that bed up first. When I first get out, make my bed up. Then fall on my knees and submit to my higher power to help me do his will throughout this day and not mine. And how do I know I'm not doing my will? Because I'm doing what's right. Because I've been accustomed to doing wrong so long that I even take the negative and do that if I let the YouTube or the television or the boob tube influence me to do that. I have to keep myself centered and grounded and knowing this at the forefront of my head that I don't have all of the answers. I have to ask other people for help to allow me to continue on a prosperous journey. And I often always give this example because we have some influential people in our lives and we see it, but we won't pay attention to it. I'm going to give one. I'm going to give a couple. Michael Jordan scored his basketball shot, North Carolina. He did not want to become an Air Jordan heir. Other people told him to do that, right? That was his. He didn't even know nothing about no $1 billion or nothing. Come from New York to North Carolina, right? Country guy. Become the best basketball player of our generation. Same thing as Frederick Douglass, back then in the Times, became one of the best writers of the Constitution, right? If you don't understand it, just keep reading them. Somebody help you out. We have Bible verses that still stands up today. Like 1 Corinthians 13:8, love never fails. With love, you can rejoice. It don't do all of that. It don't check boxes, say you did this wrong. It's not resentful. It don't rejoice in the wrongful people. It don't do none of those things. It don't judge. It don't do none of that. When somebody make a mistake, that's exactly what it is. It's not a judgment time to be judging somebody about it. But some people just does that because the jealousy part. Let me get there real fast because I got less than almost 30 minutes. So I have to say all of that because all of that had to incorporate where I'm at today and my mentality, right? I had to look at this little things in my life for the bigger picture. And just like Michael Jordan, I got to use him for this example, like T.D. Jakes and all the other prophets, bishops, and religious organizations. They did the same thing. They allowed somebody to teach them some things so they could teach somebody else, right? The doctor had to go to school to learn something so he could teach you something. Because I don't know about the medical terminologies about how to have open heart surgery. I don't know that. But I had to go to a doctor who did. I had to trust that process and make sure that he knew what he was doing, right? Same thing in life. Somebody might know more than you, might be right beside you. But if y'all sit there and share on an intellectual level about how to better your life, you can receive that message. instead of trying to project this image of trying to project something that ain't even true. Let me go here now.
Okay.
I have a lot of children. I don't want to name how many. The sadness I felt when my children didn't want to talk to me no more. Not because I abused them, not because I beat them, not because I wouldn't do for them, but because they just didn't know. But I took that as a personal attack on my character as a man and a father because I wasn't there mentally because I was so used to being for myself. Because
Right.
that's what I was taught, to be selfish, right? In all my actions. When I stopped being selfish, that's how stuff started to happen. In my selfishness, we grew apart. My PTSD escalated. So I become numb to their feelings because that's the only way I knew how to protect myself. Self-medicate, take a drink, smoke some dope, whatever the case may be, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If it went to sex, to this, to that, I done it. Didn't have a problem with it, but I was losing something. Now that I lost my children, I want them back right now because I did some damage, right? But
Mm-hmm.
life don't work that way. I learned I got one shot. And as long as I'm still breathing, I got a chance to redeem myself, right? Somebody told me this. Full disclosure, wasn't my thinking, was not my saying. We all gonna face this day, one day, whether by choice, what day it happened, I don't know. When it happened, I don't know that either. But for a fact, we all gonna die one day. Somebody asked me, what do I want people to say at my funeral about me? I wrote a whole lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, they wouldn't have said none of that because I was not living my life that way. So how in the world are they gonna say those things that I want them to say if I'm not living that way? I don't want them to talk about I'm a crackhead. I don't want them to talk about I ate out the garbage can. I don't want them to talk about I was a molester. I don't want them to tell them I raped women. I don't want them to tell me I stayed in the club, I neglected my children. I don't want to say none of that stuff. I want them to say I'm an upstanding person. I'm kind-hearted, loving, caring. So in order for them to say that, my life had to determine that, had to dictate that.
I
Yes.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. That is I appreciate you saying that. I had that type of revelation for myself too, is that I didn't want to leave a legacy uh, of something similar, being a crackhead, a sex addict, an abuser to my children and their mother at the time, and that left a hole in my daughter's heart that I'm living my amends every day, and our relationship was estranged for a long time. And by the grace of God, it's getting better. And by me living my amends and sharing my life with her, I just shared with her the other day, and I got a chance to see my grandbaby, my grandson. And I was very, very blessed because I didn't think that was going to ever happen. We went last year to, uh, my son was turning 15, and he had a football game, and my wife's parents were there. My kid's mom was there, and her husband had to work, and her mom was there. I'm real close with my kid's grandma. She suffered. She is a person who lives with mental illness and has a story of recovery and triumphing as well, by placing her faith in Christ and overcoming and letting, like you said, letting those people in your life that had that experience, strength, and hope, that have a different perspective of how they have tackled or are approaching different life situations and circumstances, and how you can learn and take what you can. And real close with her because she understands that aspect of it like we do, and like people hopefully listening today. And I'm with you. I have to live that with my son too. My son's relationship was a little different. It's a little stronger, a little tighter, even though there was some missteps and some mistakes that I've taken accountability for and responsibility in my acceptance because of what you said earlier, that accountability aspect of, I know I've done wrong. I know I messed up. And okay, it's on me. If I need to man up or woman up like that, here we go. And if someone brings it up, that I'm not shamed, not in the fact that there isn't a what's the word I'm looking for? A empathy or a sympathy or a care that I have for messing up and hurting someone, but the shame and the guilt has been relieved, and there is a sense of peace because I have asked for forgiveness from myself, from my higher power, and from them. So I appreciate you just saying what you said because I can relate to that. Excuse me, in the fact that yeah, I don't want my children or anyone to, if they did, that they have every right, but
It's the truth.
it is exactly.
Why you gonna be mad at the truth?
I can't exactly. That's exactly that. Like I can't. You're right. It's the truth. I did those things, and if they get to the point that they couldn't see past that, then I pray that they do, and I pray that I can continue to live my amends daily, and we're going to all fall short, but not to the point where I am falling back to that type of character defects or sinful nature, if you will. So I appreciate you saying that because yeah, me and my daughter, it's getting better. It's getting better. So I thank you for sharing that. Yes.
You're welcome. So
Yeah.
let me get here real fast because I got about 19 minutes to look. And I'm going to say some stuff really fast, but I want you to comprehend on what the words is coming out my mouth. The past get relived in our children, right? Their upbringing, of what they do and don't do, right? That's when I started checking off the boxes of the things I needed to change because I saw their life not going in the direction that I really wanted them to go, right? So therefore, I started feeling guilty that I fell in something here. How am I feeling the process when I wasn't, like, I was a control freak. Like before, when they was real young, I controlled what they ate, what they had wore, all of that. But God removed me from that because He said you're not doing right by them. You're being too self-centered, and I need them to do this, that, the third, right? So that's what my gratitude came to. He allowed me to step away, and He still care for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
They grew up in an area where there's no individual houses. I'm gonna say that word, right? It's in the community of urban community, what we call, right? Projects. And I didn't think about it at the time until after the fact, right? I just thought it was just something to do. I did not want to become my dad. Didn't want to do that. My dad and my mama slept together and had me. My dad is my uncle. Didn't want that. Did not want to do that. However, it wasn't my sister, but it was just not being a man. What I related to that. I didn't know how to be a man. So what I did was the same thing. Slept with a young girl and had a baby. Now, the guilt and the shame of facing the reality that I have a baby outside of my wedlock pushed me away from my own seed because I was a coward and didn't want to stand up and do the things that I was supposed to do and be a father to my son. My son is 6'3". Don't play basketball, ain't in the major leagues, ain't a football player, none of that. He didn't have a father in his life to guide him there, that direction. I left him out there to fend for himself because my cowardly act of not wanting to go there to pursue and help raise him, because I didn't think about it at the time, how people say wear a condom, don't listen to the girl and all that other stupid stuff. First of all, if I'd have had respect for myself, I would never had sex with the girl, because in reality, she can't give me permission to have sex with her when she's a fucking minor. But I had to learn the hard way because I thought I knew something. Hey, now, not only did I mess up her life, I messed up my children's lives as well, right? But the best thing about it all, they are forgiving. They are so forgiving, it's just unbelievable. It's the action that I had to take to change the dynamics of that and stop acting like it didn't happen. Because that's what I used to think. I used to try to walk around like it didn't happen and not speak about it. right? But when I had to speak about it and talk about it, it hurted some people, but it allowed me a chance to heal my wounds with my children, because I didn't understand how they was going to feel about me cheating on their mama. Right?
Can I
That's
ask
what
you?
I
Can
did.
I ask you? Can I
Disrespect.
ask
Go
you a
ahead.
question? When you talk to them about it, how did you even rip that Band-Aid off? How did you even get to a point to rip that Band-Aid off, to just, and how did you comfort your spirit? What things did you do to get to that point? Because at some point there has
Right.
to be a conversation whenever both parties are ready. You can't just,
Yeah.
like you said, you can't go in and be like, hey, we need to talk about this, and this is what it is. It has to be a two-way street of both parties have to be ready, and you have to respect. If Because I know for me, um I had to learn that I have to take what my daughter gives me right now and be grateful for that. And if she ever, whatever questions that she has or whatever that she decides to disclose to me and share with me how it hurt her, of course, like you said, it's the truth. I have to take it. And I did that and I own it. But I can't force a conversation of, this is what happened to your father, and these are some of the reasons why I had these different mental health and mental illness and addiction challenges, because of the trauma that I experienced in life, childhood, military life in general. It doesn't excuse it and it doesn't justify it, but I just want to give you a little bit of background of what happened to me that, like you said earlier, and I agree, that formed my way of thinking, that formed my actions, that dictated how these behaviors that I learned dictated how I moved and how I thought
Mhm.
about myself and the world around me. So when you was having those conversations with your children, how did you go about that? What was that like for you, Joseph?
So a lot of people believe in brute honesty, right? And
Hmm.
sometimes it's not good. I'm just be blunt with that.
Right. I,
Children
I
are
agree with you.
children,
Yeah.
right? Children are children. They're not your confidant. They're not your buddy. They're not your friend. They're not your therapist. Something they don't need to hear right then. You have to wait till they get to a mature age to disclose some things like that. That's what my ancestors had did before, right? However,
Hmm.
I felt my feelings was, I'm gonna be honest with mine. I don't give a damn what nobody say. I brought them in the
Yeah.
world. I'm gonna tell them what the fuck. I'm the grown. They my children. I ain't theirs. So my mentality again. That's what I say. The
Hmm.
mentality part, first of all, of thinking that there's somebody I know something better than somebody else who's been through it. How? How did I get that so self-righteous to say I know something better than I ain't even get trained in it? How? Because the way I was brought up, to try to outthink the process, how to get over, do things my way. And that was incorporated and fell over to me explaining to my children at a little age, because my mama did it when I was 10. My mama
Hmm.
told me she didn't want me and wanted to abort me, and OD would trying to have me aborted. So I'm like, wow, I didn't think that was going to affect me for the rest of my life, because in the message that I heard, that she didn't know I heard, was that she didn't want me. I wasn't good enough. So now I feel less than. I don't have no healthy self-esteem. People look at me and think I got a mountain of females. No, sir, that ain't the way I was. I didn't walk around like, mm-mm. I wanted people with lower self-esteem than I had. That way I know I can get my way. If they had a better self-esteem about themselves, I went the other way. I didn't, that was like off limits. That's how the talking to younger girls happened, right? Because I saw one thing I had to do about a lollipop and I could get whatever I want. And that's just a funny thing that people try to say. But that's the reality to it. My self-esteem was so that far low that I felt I couldn't compare myself to a woman, that I deserved that. That's the deserving part. So in that, I had to sit down and talk to my children and allow them to tell me what was wrong, what did I do wrong, and not try to justify what I did.
Ah. Hmm. Okay.
That's
Accept
all
what you
they
did,
hear.
but
Right. That's
right,
all
right.
they
Accept
hear.
what you
He's
got you.
not
Okay.
he's not listening to me. He want me to hear what he got to say. And I
Right.
don't want to
Okay.
hear what he got to say. I want him to hear what I got to say.
Got to
And
say.
I
Right.
gave them that opportunity. I'm not going
Uh,
to open my mouth. I want you to say everything that's in your head of what you want to say about me to help us move further. If you ask me
But
a question, I'll answer it.
got you. And I want to say what you're hearing Joseph say, Mr. Joseph say, that he had to get, before that, he had to get to a point to do that. For one, he had to get to a point in his recovery, in his faith, and with his God and his understanding, which is we call God. He had to get to that point and do a lot of work, because you just can't go in. You can't go in without doing work on yourself with
That's
that
right.
type of asking. That might not turn out well for either one of you. You got to put in a lot of work before you get to that point. And I appreciate, I get what you're saying. There's a lot of work that you have to put in with yourself to even get to that point, to even receive what they're saying about you and take it right on the chin and be like, get everything out, get everything that you need to say. And I'm here to listen. I appreciate that. We got 5 minutes, 6 minutes. And I want real quick. No, go. We got 5 minutes, and real quick, I want to just, if you could, in that 5 minutes, what does recovery mean to you? What does recovery mean to you, and how has it added to your life?
So I got another disclosure. I want to quote, and I don't want to misquote because I want to read it verbatim.
Okay.
Proverbs 16:9. A man's heart devises his steps, but the Lord directs his steps. The heart of a man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. It's another version. In their heart, humans plans their course, but the Lord established their steps. I had to get right in my heart first to allow God to help me on this journey. I had to first, like I said, surrender. If I'd never surrendered, I would never been able to face the adversity that struck me July 25th when my daughter got murdered. And I say that because a lot of people don't understand, right? And I say I come from the streets of Chicago, and in that I'm already affiliated. But if I want to stay unaffiliated, I got to remove myself and stay removed and not jump back and forth because it benefits me in a negative way. Because once I jump over that side of the fence, I'm back over there to negativity. They say that you have to forgive others in order to forgive. You have to forgive yourself and forgive others, regardless what it is. But first, you got to own up to it. How can I own up to something that I keep trying to throw up under the rug and slide under the crack, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can I ask God to forgive something that I keep trying to hide from him, who he already know what I've done?
Absolutely.
So what I did, I had to become vulnerable to my children and allow them an opportunity to be able to come talk to me open-heartedly. I couldn't put up a wall and say certain things you could talk to me about, certain things you can't. I'm your daddy, you don't talk to me. That I had to learn how to parent. I didn't know how to do those things. So this course took a long journey for me. And when my daughter got murdered, I had to get in the comfort that I had the responsibility to raise my grandchildren because they sat there and watched the whole thing. So they traumatized. So I got to put my feelings on the back burner and set aside that and ask somebody to help me, to help them, to get them where they need to be. Right?
Yeah.
That takes a lot of work because I'm telling you, I wasn't this humble person back in the day. I was a demon, scheming, devilish, all of those things. I am who I was back in the day. I get one drink, one shot, one drug, one piece of crack, and I'm off back to the same person I used to be back then. But see, when I let that go, God has blessed me tremendously because just with the death of my daughter alone would have took me right back to a land of nowhere. I don't want that for my grandchildren. I don't want to make one grandchild happy and then the other one is upset. How can I make both of them equally as happy? And that's walk through this process with them together and not away from them, because that's what I've been used to. It's often when adversity comes to me, I'm going to run away and act as a coward and push myself away. And that's returning to active addiction. As long as I don't return myself back to active addiction, I got a shot today. And I take this one day at a time. Don't look down that road 50 years from now because I might not live 50 years. I take it one day at a time. Yesterday is yesterday. Today has its own journey, its own
Uh,
plans, its own
absolutely.
hopes, its own dreams. It has all of those things. And I'm gonna explain. I'm 57, but I have a goal. I want to graduate with a doctor's degree. So I went back to school
Mm-hmm.
at 57, right? Because I got an
Right.
opportunity to do better with my life and I'm going forward, not letting nothing else hold me back. However, I conduct myself as that I am. I am an adult, a senior member. I am a father. I am a husband. I am a granddad. I am a friend. I am a neighbor. I am those things in this community that once somebody told me that I couldn't be. I can vote today after being in the penitentiary twice. I stole, robbed, all of that dumb stuff. And I'm not sitting here to glorify any of my past behavior because anybody put one in them to be just like me or worse. So it is what it is. And the disease of active addiction. But over here, if we let go of that, if we let go, let God do the simple things, the small things, put our children first or our neighbor first. If we put others before ourselves, stop being so selfish and be selfless about ourselves. Stop holding on to fear and rejection because everybody loves somebody. You will
Mm-hmm.
be loved. There's, I don't care how short, tall, fat, skinny, how you think you disfigured. I don't care. You got no teeth, one, two. Somebody gonna love you. That
Yes,
somebody
that
is
is
me.
true.
That somebody is me. People like me
Mm-hmm.
love you just the way you are. Because if we all look the same, there will be no diversity in this world. That's how I
I
started.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate you coming up here, sharing your testimony, your experience, strength, and hope. What I gather from that is, of course, humility, surrender, forgiveness, and gratitude. Like that's what I took. And it was very refreshing to my spirit to hear everything from part one and part two now, and everything that you shared on your journey that leads you up to who you are today. And I thank God for that. I thank God for your testimony. I thank God for who you are and the man that you are now and the man that you're going to be. Um, if it's in God's will that you see tomorrow or next week or a year from now or 40 or 50 years from now, I pray and I ask God to continue to bless you and expand your territory and protect you from the enemy. So you know what I mean, and that's my prayer for you today, my brother. And I'm grateful that you were on to give your testimony, your experience, strength to hope, and I'm truly grateful for that. So thank you, Joseph. I really am. We got to wrap it up, and could you just give me one or two things you're grateful for, real quick? Even though you've been doing it this whole show, but you know how
I'm
I like
grateful
to
for the
end.
platform to share with others that let them know that there's a new way of life. You don't never have to use ever again in your life a substance to feel the fear or tackle the fears that you have inside of you. You never have to use
And
another substance ever again in your life to do that. It can be achieved if you live your day one day at a time, let go and let God, and start appreciating the value that other people have a right to live their life just the way they want to live it. You don't have to dictate that.
I thank you for that, my brother, and I love you very much, and just thank you for sharing. And I will talk to you soon, and I definitely will reach out to you if I need you, just like I had before, and vice versa.
For
That
sure.
is a two-way. That is a two-way street. That is a
Yes,
two-way
sir.
street. I
For
love
sure.
you. I love you
Love
very
you too,
much.
brother.
You
Hey,
take
y'all
care.
be
Peace.
safe. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That's what we do here, ladies and gentlemen. Another great testimony. Another man in recovery that is sharing his experience, strength, and hope. We have men and women come up here and brothers and sisters in this fight, in this war of mental illness and this disease of addiction, that we can do it together, because it's because of connection. It's because of you. It's because of people like Joe, people like me, people like us, that we come and share our stories and our testimonies with people who are still in that pit, because we know the way out. We will reach down and put with our hand, or we will jump down in that pit with you. Whatever you need, we will be there for you, because we know how it is to be lonely, to be abandoned, to be left, to have no hope. And that's what we do. With hope comes love, with love comes faith, and with faith comes recovery. That's what Play the Tape is all about, to share your story and your testimony. Listen, if no one hasn't told you today that they love you, I love you, we love you, but most importantly, God loves you. Remember that. Until next time, this has been Play the Tape. I am your host, Derek J. Fields. Peace.